Hi everyone, this is the CMS Conf Podcast, your go-to source for everything CMS, marketing and modern web development. Today we are talking about communication intelligence and tech leadership with Aleksandra Lemańska, CQ leadership mentor and founder of LemanSkills. If you have ever wondered why brilliant engineers struggle to communicate with their team, clients or managers, and what you can actually do about it, this one is for you. Hey, welcome back to CMS Conf Podcast. I'm your host, Anya, and today we are getting into something that doesn't come up enough in the tech spaces, communication. Why do brilliant engineers ship great code, but sometimes struggle to work with clients, managers, or each other, and what can actually be done about it? Our guest today is Aleksandra Lemańska, founder of LemanSkills, certified PCM practitioner, and the creator of the CQ leadership method. She works with tech leaders and their teams. She will be also speaking at the first edition of the CMS Conf later this year. Welcome, Aleksandra. Good to have you here.
Hi, Anya. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for our conversation today.
We'll start with the first question. Like I mentioned in the introduction, you work with tech leaders on something you call CQ. It is communication intelligence. Before we get into the framework, how did you even get there? What made you focus on communication rather than architecture or leadership strategy?
Yeah. So secure the communication intelligence is the framework. This is the structure around communication itself, because as you mentioned, a lot of people are treating communication as a quote unquote soft skill, but it is not a soft skill anymore. It is a strategy skill. And this is what is a huge differentiator between people, experts, leaders, and their teams, and tech itself. And this is the skill that will never be unnecessary or impractical when it comes to working with others. And we work with others every single day. Even if we hate it, we don't want to do it, we actually work with each other in a team. And leaders are working with their teams, with different stakeholders, with clients, externally, internally, you name it. So there's a lot of occasions and point of contact with other people. So communication, high level of communication skills from the engineering perspective is crucial. So you actually deliver well-designed, good quality products, functionalities that people actually are using. So I was working with the tech industry for my whole career actually before I was a violinist, but then I moved my career to the engineering space. I was at the University of Technology. I'm an engineer from my first degree, and then I started to work in HR and learning and development, and then I've started my own company that is connected with learning and development, performance management, and teaching leadership. And CQ is a part of everything that I teach, everything that I work around. That is an umbrella to every single skill that you have, from the social perspective, leadership perspective, and the expert perspective as well, in the area of working with others. So to collaborate well, to talk very efficiently and effectively with clients, to create great functionalities and products, you need to communicate and you need to collaborate well. And this is why CQ actually came out. So to me, I connected the dots. I saw a lot of patterns in what I did with different teams, different organizations in Poland and globally, as well as with different organizations. I'm a co-founder of Startup Community Poznań, so the startup scale-up community is close to my heart as well. So you can have different experience, different background, know a different tech, but this is the same. The patterns in communication. That's why I've created the communication intelligence skill, I would say, and I'm a mother of it in Poland, and I share it with whom I work in.
I never heard before about communication intelligence, to be honest. Normally we can hear about IQ, or like also nowadays more and more popular is emotional intelligence. And I think that you pointed out why communication intelligence is really important and why it deserves its own category. And when you send your application for a speech, you mentioned there about communication depth. Could you please tell us what does it actually mean and what does it cost a team?
Sure. So communication debt is a real thing. That's why I mentioned that it is not a soft skill anymore, quote unquote. It's more of a strategic skill or a skill set, more a skill set, tools, and then mindset connected together. And the communication debt is how much money and different KPIs actually a poor communication level cost us in organizations, regardless of the size of the organization. It can be a super small startup set organization up to 10 people, but also you can be a huge global corporate organization. And the bigger the organization is, the bigger the communication debt becomes, obviously. So when I was writing a book about the subject that we are talking, and the book is coming soon, we are recording this conversation at the end of May of 2026. And I've created a calculator that actually can show you with numbers how much money does it cost you to have a poor communication in your team, in your organization, depends on what kind of scale you want to use. So it is connected with a lot of research that I've done. A lot of research that is available on the market as well, all over the internet. But basically, it is about a few things. I'm not going to give you a lot of numbers because it doesn't make any sense here. But I would like to point out what are the elements of the calculator and poor communication, the communication data. So the first thing is that there is a direct correlation between inefficiency and burnout and debt when it comes to it. A lot of teams are wasting a lot of time and misunderstanding, conflicts, insufficient meetings, wasting time on ping pong, emails, Slack, Teams messages, and so on and so forth. I'm sure that you are a part of it as well. I know that I am. So that's it. And there is this number that something between 7 and 17 hours of work is wasted per week per employee in a team. So it is huge. Up to even more than 40% of your time is consumed by something that doesn't bring any value. You are wasting time. And every single hour of this a certain employee costs a certain amount of money, the hourly rate. So this is how we can count a first part of the poor communication. Then there's a part that is connected more with engagement, and the less engaged people are, the less efficient they are. So it costs actual money as well because they deliver the results slower, in a bad quality, worse quality that then agreed to. They go into misunderstandings, conflicts. They go and just not be the best version of themselves when it comes to their part of their skill set and mindset and toolset. And then there is a part that is connected with mental and physical health, because there's a huge direct correlation between the level of poor communication and wasting time and burnout connected with mental health issues that cause the inability of a person to work. So you go to the sick leave because you cannot work mentally and physically. So the level of again, business delivered, products delivered, productivity and efficiency is lower, and it costs real money because we cannot go to the clients with the solutions in a certain in a certain deadline that we agreed to because people are not there. So all of those KPIs, all of those numbers are creating at the end the final number of the cost that actually your organization is having. On the top of everything, this is a retention. So every person that is quitting the organization because there is a low poor communication level, inefficiencies, and people are just crazy about what is happening because they cannot work efficiently because all of those things are actually coming in the way, is between 50 and 200% of a monthly salary times 12, so yearly salary of an employee. So this is a huge amount of money that is actually a real cost of poor communication in organizations.
Well, I can tell that I'm really shocked about the cost, like how many hours we spend for communication. I somehow forgot it because now I work for myself. I'm a freelancer, so it's not like I was working before for the companies, but yeah, it's like their numbers are huge, so it's really good to take that into consideration, because the companies and I don't know, freelancer, we are losing money. And yeah, you told us about the burnout, and now I would like to also ask you about different perspective. I mean, what does it actually cost in the real terms when a tech leader, like a manager, has a weak CQ muscles? What breaks down first, like how he or she influence her or his team?
Yeah. So direct reports are like children. They observe you. If you're a team leader, a manager, a head, a CTO, you name it, they observe you and they map your behaviors and they repeat them. So, and it is visible in every organization that we work with. It doesn't really matter if it is a super small startup organization or if it is a huge corporate organization. People want to have leaders that are actually reliable, that they do what they say, and they do what they actually want for us to do. So if my manager is saying to me that I want for you to learn how to communicate better. I want for you to, I don't know, read a book or join a workshop, or just I'm giving you a feedback that you can just do something different about the client that you talk to, or a different team member from your team or the other team that you cooperate with very closely to create a bigger value. I need to be the same person first. Because this is crazy how many you wouldn't believe how many of those leaders I work with, I have in mentoring sessions, or they're coming to my workshops or listen to the keynote speeches I give, and then we talk, that are saying to me, "Hey Alex, I want for my people to be better. I give them the opportunities, I give them money, I give them space and time for them to learn." And then when I ask the question, "And what are you doing yourself to be a better leader?" In this case, in the CQ space, they are like, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I have so many things on my list that it is not a priority for me. I don't have time. I need to take care of all of these things, but my team is going to be great in it. And we always talk about then we start talking about how important it is for all of you to speak the same language and for you to be a role model for them. Because without that, it's not going to be authentic leadership. It's going to be a fake leadership, because it's not meeting the requirements that you want for them to have. So the leaders need to, and it's not an option anymore, need to know how to be adaptive, how to be strong in communication intelligence space, because this is how they're going to save their jobs. Let's be honest about it, because this is it. A great expert when it comes to what's happening right now with all the tech, AI changes, everything that is happening needs to do different things, but it is more about the tech stack and then the tech expertise they have. And leaders, they need to gather all of the new social skills and strategic skills to be competitive in the market, to be at need at the market even, because this is about it. So I would say we all, myself included, I'm a leader as well, we all need to learn all the time. This is a lifelong learning journey, and communication intelligence space to have a strong CQ muscle, because this is how we lead, how we create great products, how we deliver great results to clients. Even if you're a freelancer without a team, you are a leader of your own part. We are a space, right? So you need to have the strong CQ muscle as well. So it doesn't really matter what kind of role you have. If you are a freelancer, if you are a team lead, if you are a manager on a different higher level of the organization, it's a bigger one, you need to have the skills, because without that, you are going just to be lost. And we can't afford it right now. This is my opinion.
Yes, and I think that maybe it's my bubble, but when I don't know, follow some experts, I check some online courses or so on, the people always focus, the experts mostly focus on how to be a great leader, but in the meaning that how your employees, coworkers can achieve goals, And this is the most important part. I think that this communication skills are missed, or the people don't pay attention on it. Even like freelancers, or how to earn more money, how to, I don't know, better plan your day, how to do this. But we somehow forget about communication, that it is really important. And yeah, I need to communicate with my clients. So it is good. It would be good to have it.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that all of the things that you mentioned, how to plan my day, how to earn more money, how to get a bigger lifetime value on the client, all of the how to build product, how to build great products, every single part of this thing is connected with communication itself, with communication engineering, I would say, because the more communicationally intelligent you will be, the better results from the business perspective you will have. So this is super, super tightly correlated. And I agree that we don't talk about it enough. So that's why we're talking right now.
You told us yes, how also the lack of communication skill is linked with burnout. And maybe now you can tell us more about process communication model, PCM, because your framework is based on it. And of course, don't tell us too many things, because we will talk about it more at CMS Conf, but maybe you can give us now the insight behind it. What is it, PCM model, and how we can maybe introduce it in our lives?
Sure. So process communication model, PCM, is a framework and connected with the personality structure and communication preferences that all people on the planet have. So this is something that was created based on David Keller's work in NASA, actually. So if there are any space geeks, this is the story for you. David is a creator of process communication model, and he has a friend in the NASA that asked him to support him in building better teams that NASA has sent to space. Because in space, there's a super high level of pressure, of course, super high level of stress. You cannot just shut the door if you don't agree with somebody. The criteria of success are different, and there is a super, super high risk of being unsuccessful, because this is super hard for people from the body perspective and from the mind perspective. So they asked Taby to join them to support the process of putting people together in a space shift. So based on that, long story short, he saw a lot of patterns that he saw before as well, but a lot of patterns that were connected with behaviors under stress, under pressure, under high level of stress and pressure in space, and also communication preferences, patterns in language that people are using, in nonverbal communication that they're using, the preferences of being alone or with people, small amount of people, bigger amounts, number of people, etc. So based on that, the process communication model was built. And right now, there is a 1.8 million profiles in the database for the last 50 years or so. So it's a huge, well-designed database that algorithms know how to learn from. And based on that, we have the structure, 6 personality levels, let's put it that way, layers in the condo, and they all are connected with certain skills, certain strengths, certain preferences, ways of talking, ways of showing on the faces, and with everything that is connected with the body. Also, how we behave and what we do, what we say under stress. And let's be honest, we are more under stress than not under stress nowadays, especially. All right. So this is something that it is very algorithmical, because yes, there is a questionnaire underneath it, but you don't need to have a questionnaire results to use PCM actually. So there is a lot of things that you can just take a look at on emails, on Slack, Teams messages, when you're listening to somebody, when you talk to somebody, even when you're listening to a podcast like this one, you can easily to detect the keywords that both of us are using to put a strong hypothesis who we are from the base personality perspective. Because when you know it, you can tailor your communication to the recipient. Because the truth is that most of the time we communicate as we like, as we have a preference to communicate. If I speak data and I say I think a lot, and you speak data and fact and logic and process and everything, it is easy because we speak the same language. But if you speak data and analytics and processes, and I speak emotions, and if I say to you, Aya, I don't feel to record this episode today, it is like, and you'll say, huh? Because we don't speak the same language anymore, and it's like the same. It is interesting, I think, especially for the analytical brains and that are listening to us. Most of them, I'm sure, that the same part of brain is responsible for speaking the same or different language when we talk with the same language, for example, in English or in Polish. And the same part of brain is responsible for speaking foreign languages in overall. So this is the same scheme, the same pattern that is happening in our brains. So that's why, even if we talk in the same language, for example, in English, but we don't tailor our communication to the language of those 6 different types, this is the same thing that if I speak English, you speak Chinese, and we don't know those languages. This is the same thing. That's why there are so many misunderstandings and conflicts, and we cannot get along. Not because we don't like each other, but because we just don't understand each other on the language level. And this is the essence of the PCM in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Because I think everyone has a situation with one person. Just after 1 minute of knowing each other, we can talk for hours and we understand each other perfectly. But with someone else, it's really difficult. We don't understand them, they don't understand us, and it's really, really important. And it's like you said, that it's not related with our native language or something like this. Sometimes with our, I don't know, members of our family, even it's difficult to talk with them because they think differently.
Yeah.
And could you please tell us a little bit more about this? Maybe could you tell us what kind of types there are?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I need to be very smart about telling that without revealing everything that is going to be at the conference. So I can talk about it very briefly. So I mentioned some of them already. So the first type is connected with data, facts, logic, processes, thinking. So everything is rational and then data oriented, fact oriented. So they're using the language of facts. So I think the facts are data says, we have a chart here, bullet, regards. Right? This is the way of communication. Super straightforward, without any like, how are you? Just straight to the chase. The second one is connected with opinions more than facts. So they say a lot of, in my opinion, in my view, for me, it means something like that. They are guardians of rules. So if there are any rules, any politics, procedures in the organization, they check with the rules if we are aligned with them. So they are more compliant than all of the people, and they want to create value. So if you know somebody who is asking a question like, "What kind of value it actually brings?" This is this person. So both of those, the first and the second, they ask a lot of questions as well. The first to gather information, the second to gather opinions or share opinions, and the piece of view of themselves. Third one is connected with emotions, as we mentioned. So not I think, but I feel. And the type is connected with the good atmosphere as well, creating the good atmosphere, taking care of others, very good at relationship building. And the people want to be with them because they're very much caring about others and not about the goals so much, but about people very much. The fourth one is about action. Action, doing things, no more talking, let's do just sharp. So they're bored with monotonous, repetitive tasks. They are dying of boredom when they have it, and they need for things to go fast. So they love change, constant transformation, a lot of adrenaline, and a lot of dopamine hits. So and they cannot wait. Waiting for them is like hell. Then there is the person that is connected with reactions, with having fun, with being creative, with figuring out a lot of different things, creating a lot of different ideas. Being close to people, the more people, the better in their reactive mode, having fun, spontaneous actions, just do together some things. And last but not least is speaking the language of reflections. So they are very much in depth in their brains into solution driven mindset, thinking about different options, how to solve certain problems. They love to reflect on what happened from the retrospective perspective. So they are very much in reflection mode and in action mode. So they are more in depth. They don't talk a lot, but in their brains there is magic. So if you tell them to, hey, Anya, tell me 3 things that you have in your brain right now that you imagine that we can do about the problem that you have, they are more than happy to say it to you. But unasked, they are not going to say it out loud. And all of those, we have everything in ourselves. So every single person has everything. So it's not like you are the one and I'm the other. All of us have everything, but in different setup, different order, and with different access to the energies on the floors. So you can be the first part in your personality base, so more data, more facts, more logic, and I can be quite the opposite. So I can have my analytical part on the 6th floor, but I am very good with opinions, for example. This is me, base opinion. So people are different, but they're not infinite. There's 720 combinations of the order of the condo, and the truth is that it's very easy to recognize what is the most repetitive pattern that you're using in your communication if you know what to listen to.
Thank you for sharing. It really sounds amazing for me because I am a big fan of this kind of tests, personality tests. I did some in my life, but it's nice that you mentioned that we can be mixed types, because when you were telling this type is this, and I was, oh, it's a little bit me. This is a little bit me. This is a little bit me. So it's good to know that we have everything, but in different combination.
Yes. And the most important thing is that it's not a tool to just give you simple answers. As you mentioned, we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The question is, which part is the strongest in you and how you are using it in positive situations to create value, to create great products, to create great value for the clients and the team, and how you react under stress and under pressure. Because this is the only tool I know that actually shows you the patterns of the stress. So how you react and what you're doing, what you're saying in your state that you have right now, in the part of life you have, when it comes to distress, pressure, tight deadlines, angry customer, all of those different situations that we deal with on a daily basis. And the most important thing, what to do with that. Because, okay, self-awareness, it is super important. But okay, so what? So what should I do with it? This is the most important part of all.
Yes, it's really, really fascinating, but we will talk about it more at the conference very soon. Maybe not very soon, in a few months, yes, in November. But maybe we can go to another question. Also, you mentioned that you will talk about 6 communication APIs in every engineering team. Can you unpack that just a little bit?
Mhm. It is connected with what I already said about the 6 types that you asked me, because this is strictly connected with the language patterns that I just given you. Now, they are the characteristics of strengths and genius zones that each type has, and the truth is that in most of the tech teams, they are 2 most repetitive personality bases. So the APIs that you mentioned. The first API is a data API, of course. Data, facts, logic, solutions, problem solving, processes. Just give me it, I'm going to do it. But it needs to make sense for me, right? So this is the first, it's most repetitive. And the second most repetitive that I know is the last I described for you. So the reflection part. So both of them are very rational, working with their brains, sometimes without a good access to the emotional part of themselves. That's why they neglect social skills, because they don't think that they're important. They don't treat them as algorithms to work with. And by API, I mean that this is a part of the algorithm, because this is the truth. Because when you see, what is an algorithm? When you see a certain piece of data, for example, a certain wording that is repetitive, you have a hypothesis that the person is one base personality, so one API. And then if I have a hypothesis like that, I can tailor my communication to use more words connected with data, to have less of an emotional part of my face, so mimics very limited, mimics gestures, tone of the voice, very flat, computer-wise. And then I observe how the person reacts. Do we have a better communication process here? What does it mean to have a better communication process? If I ask the question, if the person responds in a way that I aimed for them to respond, if yes, the communication process is better, the end of the process. So it is very algorithmical. It requires from us to gather information. It is very data oriented. The data is different. It has different types. So there are quantitative and qualitative data to gather, but all of the things are very much data driven. So I think it's one of the biggest reliefs for people that are in tech teams that never heard about that kind of approach before, because it gives you more algorithmical and more framework-based approach to communication that sounded like very human, sometimes touchy-feely, that is not very comfortable for a lot of people. And here we go with a solution for that. So I think this is the most important thing when it comes to those apps that I'm going to talk about more in the conference as well.
You will also show at the conference, at your speech, how you can identify someone's communication type just in 3 sentences. Maybe you can give us a little sneak peek and share us one of those questions now.
Sure thing. We are going to have examples of real life email messages, Teams, Slack messages, just for all of us to train ourselves in strengthening the CQ muscle, because this is always the first step. Recognizing the pattern is the first step of building the muscle. So, for example, when I got a message like, "Hi, Alex, I want from you the following details. Bullet. I need it until Monday, May 20th, 5 p.m. set. If you have any questions, please let me know. Regards." So super easy, super short email with a lot of details, data, without any "how are you, how is everything, how's family, blah blah blah." No emojis, no nothing, just periods at the end of the sentence. Very well structured, data driven, and with a certain date, deadline, and certain hour, not end of the business day or something like that. Very certain information. So this is enough for me to make a strong hypothesis that it is a data-driven person, right? So because a lot of information is there. So just an example, but we are going to have more. And if you are listening to it before the event and you want to bring your own examples to train on your own examples, just please do it, because this is going to be so much more relevant to you than only on examples on the slides. As I'm going to give you real life examples. But you can just open your email, do a few screenshots from emails or messages on Slack or Teams that you have, and you just can work on your own examples. And this is always the best idea to do it. So yeah, this is it.
Yeah, it sounds really, I think, exciting. And we can choose, let's say that we have a client or a colleague. It's difficult for us to communicate with the person, so we can bring some examples and check how we can communicate with this specific person better.
Exactly. And this is a very good idea, especially if you struggle with communication with a certain person. It can be a client, a team member, a different stakeholder, you name it. And you don't know why. And this is going to give you an answer why. Because sometimes, again, we spoke about it before, but I'm going to repeat it. It's super important. We communicate as we like to be communicated with. So this is one of the biggest lessons that I personally had when I was learning PCM a while ago, that I communicated, and I'm doing it all the time, but I'm more mindful about it right now, of course, from my favorite modality of opinions and being pushy and sometimes being tough on other people, sometimes being too attached to rules or contract or everything. And I figured out that it is important for me, and this is my preference, but there are 5 more. And the truth is that, and I think it's a relief as well, but it is not the infinity of options. There are only 6. So this is super, super doable to just know the patterns and just have a one-pager roadmap, or do something like that with clients, an Excel spreadsheet or something like that to use it. We'll have a one-pager somewhere near your desk, your computer that you work on, and just use it on a daily basis, because this is very, very much usable and very, very useful. And I do it all the time. So this is like, again, lifelong learning.
And yes, the last question is, we mentioned it many times, but I will repeat it. You will be a speaker at CMS Conf conference, and we will go much deeper into the topic. And could you tell us in the end what listeners, participants can expect from the talk that they won't get anywhere else?
Sure thing. So I think that's what is unique about the subject and the talk and the experience that we are going to create together, is that you just get rid of your phone. If you want to have those screenshots, you can, of course, but you just take something to write on, take a bunch of notes, because this is going to be an awareness session. Awareness, but also very algorithmical, as we mentioned. So this is what we are going to do. You are going to take part in the session, and during the session, we are going to categorize all of those APIs that we both mentioned, and you're going to map yourself first, because always need to know about yourself before you go into others. So this is going to be a self-awareness session. It is going to be a group session, because this is not a one-on-one experience, but a group session. But it is going to be something that you can share with others in the room as well. So if you want to find people that are well designed in your point of view, goal oriented, super aware, wanted to do something together, but also to share expertise in how the processes look like them, this is a place for you. As well as we are going to work on case studies. So as we both mentioned, we are going to use some examples, very practical. It's not going to be a theoretical speech. It is going to be a super practical case study based speech with a solution at the end. So at the end of the speech, you are going to get the answer to the question, why is it happening, and what to do with every single API that you are going to experience in your life, private life, professional life, you name it, because the tool is very universal. And to be completely honest with you, it is always the easiest to try it on in your family, at your home, with your friends. So this is always the best and the simplest idea before you go to the business. So this is it. And then I'm going to be there during the whole event. So if you want to bring one-on-one your case, because you are not very much of a group person, you can always do it. I'm going to be for the whole event. We can talk in Polish or in English, and just, hey, Alex, I just have it. I would love to consult with you. I'm going to do it for free. No charges when it comes to small consulting talks. So that's why it's unique, because you will have access to myself, to my brain, and we will have so much time to spend together on that. So I think it brings its unique.
Yeah, I guess it will be really, really interesting conference. And the last question, please, Alex, tell us, where can we find you online if someone would like to get into PCM framework more deeply before the event? Like, where can they find you? Where can they get to know you?
Sure. So I would love to invite you to the podcast, because the podcast is a place where a lot of different episodes about communication intelligence, about PCM itself, they are there. Again, we are recording this at the very end of May 2026. There are over 160 episodes in a podcast space. So Lemon Tech Leadership Podcast, this is the space. And there are episodes, solo episodes with pieces of knowledge, but also a lot of different guest episodes with startup founders, co-founders, leaders from tech, all around the world that are sharing their lessons, their ways of working, fuck up stories, success stories, you name it. All of those things are there. So go and check it out. The podcast. This is the space, and the second best space is my LinkedIn, and there's also a website connected to the LinkedIn. But I'm very active. I'm there every single day. I try to create as much value as possible on LinkedIn as well. So Aleksandra Lemańska at LinkedIn. You can just poke me and hey, let's get connected before the conference. I'm glad to do it as well.
Alex, thanks. It was really exciting and useful conversation. I will add all your places online you mentioned in the show notes so everyone can find you. And if you want to catch Alex's speech in person, CMSConf is happening for the first time this year. Details you can find at CMSConf.com. Thank you, Alex, and see you soon.
Thank you again. Thank you all. I'll see you soon at the conference or in the online space. Thanks all.
That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to the CMS Conf podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow us and stay tuned for more. Catch you next week.